Teaching? Who? Why did he get fired? Was he her teacher too? Oh, okay. That's nasty.
Whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, whatever it takes.
Hello and welcome to the 16th episode of Season 4 of Your Mom's Podcast, the only podcast worth walking out on a date with one of Degrassi's coolest girls. I'm Caroline,
I'm Avis.
and today we're going to be discussing Degrassi Season 4, Episode 20, West End Girls. Roses are red. Manny and Paige continue their feud. Caitlin might be falling for this Kevin Smith dude. Paige still hasn't forgiven Manny for outing Mr. Oleander, and Manny still hasn't forgiven Paige for being really lousy to her all year. What starts as snarky jabs quickly escalates into a really mean and probably not really legal prank war. Also, Kevin Smith is there, scouting Degrassi as a location, wooing Caitlin, and taking a crazy chance on Craig.
Can I please nominate my favorite word for this year, Oleander? Oleander is beautiful. I love it. She's perfect. I'm rooting for her. You're doing great, sweetie.
That's gonna need to be a sticker. Grab your handy dandy notebook.
I literally wish that I had. Did you ever have? Okay, so to be fair, I stole my little cousins because did I have Blue's Clues? Sure I did. I had Steve. However, I don't feel like I ever got my own Blue's Clues notebook. I feel like my mom was
I
just
did not have a Blue's Clues notebook.
My mom didn't have that ducats, and I don't even think they sold them until it became like more commercialized later. I feel like it was still just a show, and they did not have all this stuff because they even had like the blue plushie that I later got. But I want a handy dandy notebook
a little
just
old
for that.
Blue's Clues.
I was like almost too old for Blue's Clues, but I made it before it was like
I encouraged Charlie to watch Blue's Clues
so that you could watch
that
Blue's
I could
Clues.
sometimes watch Blue's Clues. Same with Hannah Montana. I remember a point where like Charlie was getting sick of Hannah Montana, and I was like, no, I don't think you are.
Yeah, ooh, whoa, whoa. Do you know there's a sound on TikTok that's just all of those little riffs? Ooh, ooh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like all the little shit that she would do. Like, I love that someone took that time. But no, I think that was Dora the Explorer for me because I was like 11 or 12 and I should not have been watching Dora the Explorer, but I was babysitting a kid. And the kid was not interested, and I was like, Boots, come on, Dora. Dora.
I feel like when you are like regularly in the care, like the caretaker position for a child, you have to have some say in what you're watching, or you just end up watching like Bubble Guppies or Wonder Pets.
Right, like you got to take some control of this situation. Like, I'll be diplomatic. That's why I'll let my nephew watch Peppa Pig, because Peppa Pig can be a little bit funny. I mean, it's kind of obnoxious. It's like got some Caillou in there because Peppa Pig's kind of an asshole. But yeah.
LB loves Peppa Pig.
It's now, why is my nephew walking around sounding like a little British boy? He's like, really?
Daddy?
As far as the B plot goes, that's the whole Caitlin, Craig, Kevin Smith thing.
Yeah. Which obviously, okay, so it is. I have a lot of feelings on this, and my feelings will continue to develop as we watch Going Down the Road again. And then is he? That's the one where Craig like loses his mind for a minute.
Yeah, and he's like living in the school and shit. Yeah.
And then we don't see Kevin Smith again until Degrassi Goes Hollywood. Is that correct?
Yeah, because that's when Manny has her whole yes. Okay. I think so. I think, or is that Jason Mewes?
Kevin Smith is there at
He's
least
there
like, in a Zoom call.
Oh yes, he is there in a Zoom call. Right, that's the chick that played Apollonia. Yes. Yeah. Oh wait, and no, he comes to their school. He comes to Smithdale and he gives a thing. And he sees her in the crowd, and he's like, "That's the chick that played Apollonia in Jay and Silent Bob Go Canadian, eh?" And she gets pulled up on stage. So that is he's actually there. He makes a cameo in Degrassi Goes Hollywood. So we are not. Kevin Smith literally wrote himself into this fucking show.
Did he write himself in? I don't
know that we ever established that he wrote himself in.
I want to know how that happened, which has probably been answered somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'd like to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Kevin Smith, I know I've been lackluster on the dicks lately. It's been hard to be a human. But I have more dicks coming for you. Please come on our show and talk to us about your Degrassi experience and anything else you want to talk about. That'll be like a 5-hour episode if I know anything about Kevin Smith.
Okay, I got it. So he worked with he pitched it.
But he didn't write it, right?
He did not. He worked with one of the writers. Linda Schuyler said that he could not be like an actor on the show because of the Canadian rule. But she was like, you can be yourself. You can play yourself. So he wrote like a version of himself that didn't have a kid. Or like worked with the writer to like come up with a version of himself that didn't have a kid, but it was still himself and tacked on Caitlin. But he pitched it all. So he did like go to them and was like, "Hi. I wrote a couple films. I love this franchise. Can I please come on and kiss my childhood crush?" And ruin one of the biggest ships in the history of the show.
I'm not going to be mad about that. I'm not going to be mad about that. We're going to talk about that next week.
Right, we are. But just spoiler alert, I don't give a fuck. But yes, Kevin Smith has touched down. He's funny as fuck. I love his little. It's just a good breath, like a breath of fresh air with all of like the Craig and Ashley tension, because I can just see Craig is on the edge again.
Yeah.
And I could just, the stuff he's saying, like, "See, I told you weren't going." And like, it's giving abandonment issues.
And I don't hate Ashley.
No.
Like, your boyfriend who's just been diagnosed with manic shit, who's not really coping with it well yet. I don't think it's unreasonable to be like, I'm going to go to England for the summer. I need a break from this.
Right. And it's like, as a teen, like, this is the most relatable part of it, because sometimes I feel like as a teen, I just wanted to fuck off and I just didn't want to be bothered. She is kind of stuck around and held him down, and he is in a better place, but she still needs time for herself. She needs she needs to be a teenager. Like,
exactly.
And he is clinging to her.
Clinging.
He is a grade A suction cup. Like, he is not trying to let her go, like, to the bathroom, let alone to England.
Let alone to the loo.
Let alone to the loo, not alone to the Louvre. Or is that in Paris?
That's in Paris.
But that would have been perfect.
You can tell by the silent R.
And yeah, I hate French. I hate the whole fucking language. And I'm so sorry if you're French, or if you're a Francophile or whatever the fuck. I don't care. I studied that language for 2 semesters and it tortured me. 5 5 bitch. Anyway, um,
Okay.
so I don't know why the aggression for French is coming out this morning, but I think I've been sitting on it for a while.
That's fair.
But
I
no,
just
I
don't
don't.
want to be in museums, in busy museums in Europe with the French, or really anyone.
Or really
I would like
anyone.
the museums to just have me in it.
I've heard that France is filthy, or Paris is filthy, not France in
We
general.
cannot just sit here and shit on France. And you know what? I make fun
People
of.
love France,
I
though.
know. I make
People love.
fun.
Someone should shit on it for a change.
I make fun of French a lot. It started, and it primarily is still rooted in like Fo and I watched a lot of like cooking competitions for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have to hate somebody in a cooking competition, in any competition show. You gotta have your people that you hate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if it was a decent season, like, but there was a French chef, I'd just start anytime they were doing their shit, I'd just be like, ha ha ha.
Les poissons, les
Les
poissons.
poissons. Ha, ha.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all I
Um,
hear anytime y'all talk. Okay. I I do feel bad for Ashley though, because I really could see how much she keeps him together.
but that's not her job.
That's not her job, and it's so sad. Like,
Yeah.
she deserves to be able to have, like, she deserves to have some reckless abandon and just be a tea girl
In London for a
in
summer
London for a
with
summer
her
and
dad.
with her dad. Like, that sounds like the summer that Ashley really needs, because I don't know, something can be about Ashley for once. And I feel like they make a big deal about how she's super selfish. And in the past, I think she has been. But she's been giving a lot
This
to
isn't
Craig.
selfish at all.
No, it's really, it's taking care of herself so that she can continue to take care of Craig. It's not, I mean, she doesn't end up coming back right away, but initially the plan was for her to come back right away. And as Melissa did kind of speak about in the panel, it wasn't like she left for college or something, or like she wanted to leave. It was just the natural progression of her
Right.
character, and it made sense to her that Ashley would go away and maybe take that time away from things. And it makes sense to me too, especially when you consider all of the stress that she must be under,
Mm-hmm.
all of the change and everything. Her parents have disappeared.
I
Her stepbrother has nearly disappeared.
I feel like as I ruminate on Craig and Ashley throughout these last several seasons and like what's to come and all of that, I feel like obviously ultimately my number one Craig ship is Therapy. Craig and Therapy, I ship it. But Craig and Ashley, when he's not being horrible, I think that they're great together. I think they make good music together.
Yeah.
Like, I
They
mean,
do,
for
yeah.
Degrassi caliber music.
I think we were talking about that around the time that The Taming of the Shrew was like the assignment they were working on. And even though Ashley was being super melodramatic about the whole thing and not really admitting to herself that she had changed, and that it
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily Jimmy that was trying to do anything to her, she
Right.
had just changed. And it was at that point where she realized that she and Craig had a lot in common and were like good for each other as friends and more. So it made sense to me then. Their relationship has always made the most sense to me. Out
Mhm.
of like, her being with Jimmy never, even when she was like the popular girl, never
Yeah,
made sense to me. And she never seemed to like him.
which is fine, but don't date boys you don't like.
That's fine,
But
but
she's
don't date
12
boys you don't like. I mean,
or 13.
but then she also goes back to do it again, and it's the same thing. Like, you don't like this boy. That's why you
Right.
treat him terribly. But she likes Craig, and she goes out of her way to like show up for Craig. And maybe
And
she has a wounded bird complex. I don't know. I don't know what makes Craig different other than she actually likes him.
she likes him and they create well together. He's an artist and he's, you know, excuse me. We're like made to see him as like a good, talented artist.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, they connect on that like soul, like the level of just like bearing their souls through their art
mhm.
and having written songs together, which I have heard is a very intimate process. You know, like
And there's
they've
and
gone
there's
through those
something
levels.
really different from between like the way that Craig and Ashley make music and the way that Ashley has Jimmy rap, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's like the difference is there's a collaboration versus like an intrusion. And I
Mhm.
think that like, you know, obviously we'll get into it, but I mean, I think that lends a lot of like light to Ashley's feelings. It like the creative process we've seen, and that's probably why, not to jump too ahead, but when she sees that Craig didn't credit her on his album, she's not offended because she went through that creative process with him. And maybe she's like, okay, I was a part of it. I can always make more songs. Like, even if she
I
is
mean, she
upset,
wasn't not offended by it,
I
but
think
yeah.
I think it was a different level of like, okay, at least I consented to the process versus her and Jimmy. Like, she felt like he intruded upon her shit, and
Right.
she didn't ask for his and like he didn't, like there was no conversation about, oh, I might want to try out something like music wise. Like he just started rapping one day.
Right.
Like he was always playing instruments in the band. He was not
Oh, but that's not true.
rapping in the
That's
band.
not true.
Shut up, girl.
Make my lunch. Yeah.
Yeah. Is short, you know, is short-lived duo with Spinner, but yeah, it's kind of like, damn, this came out of left field. I already had one musical boyfriend who like basically overshot, like took over the spotlight.
Right.
And now I have two, like, I mean, it kind of does suck to be Ashley. Like one
We'll
of your
get there.
boyfriends
I feel
is
like we have to get there too, though.
what
You know what I mean? Like,
I think this time I can see, I know more things happen with Ashley, but at least I can see it now. I can see the trajectory and I'm not hating her from here.
yeah. No,
And you know that I have beef.
dare I
That's one of my big beefs. So I'm gonna get there, and then we're gonna see. But
dare I even say I might love Ashley?
hindsight is 2020. We are no longer kids. Um,
We've unlearned a lot of the internalized misogyny. Probably not all.
Probably
That's a
not.
journey.
That is quite a journey. But I think that we realize just that a lot of the hate is unearned. And people just hate teenage girls and everything that they like and
Right?
are drawn to. So that's just a societal problem. We like,
And a dumb
but
one
yeah,
at that. Because
a
teenage
really
girls are
dumb.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They
They
are
are,
dramatic. I'll
but I
give you
love a little
that.
drama. A little drama never hurt nobody.
A little
But
drama can be a really good time, quite frankly.
quite can be a little bit blast. I okay. So again, this B plot. Kevin Smith is here and he's being interviewed on Caitlyn's show.
Because
Is
he's
it Kate?
making, yeah, it's Caitlin's show.
Is it Ryan's Planet?
I assume
Is
so.
that how it's what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is actually a good name for a show. I don't think we've ever said that, but that's a good, Ryan's Planet is a good name for a show. Um, Especially like a news show. But she's just like, okay, so you're shooting this show, and he's like, yeah, but a bunch of our locations dropped out on us. So if you got like a brewery, a bowling alley, and a school, we need a school, hit me up. And Craig is like hanging there for some reason.
Probably because Caitlin told him to.
That would be, they keep zeroing in on her face and she's not like saying anything. They give her at least 2 cuts where she's just
Here's the
reacting
thing: is she
oddly.
would be talking at home about the fact that she is interviewing Kevin Smith.
Mhm.
Craig would 100% have been a Kevin Smith fan.
Mhm.
It makes sense to me that she would have been like, "Yeah, no, drop by the studio. I'll
Yeah.
introduce you."
I mean, I that's fair. I definitely didn't think too much into it. I was just like, Craig's
Or he's
there
like stopping by to give her rent.
because he didn't know
Angie doesn't have
where
to pay rent
to
though.
find her, right?
It's actually not established that Craig pays rent, but you know.
It is not. But so Kevin is like, you play music? And she's like, yeah, I play music. And Caitlin facilitates this in some way. She's like, yeah, he's a great musician. Craig gets Kevin's music guy's number. And he's like, yeah, hit him up because I think you could really, be cool. And I mean, his music guy's a dick.
His music guy's a total dick who is almost definitely on cocaine.
The frenzy is real. Yeah. Um, and I mean, while I agree with some of what he said, he was just unnecessarily like aggressive to teenagers.
I don't feel like whiny Kate Bush impersonator and
Actually, well,
accompanied by a Bon Jovi wannabe is really accurate.
is that he said something else before that though,
That they weren't the beef puppets.
which I don't know who any of these people are.
It's
Maybe I'm
actually the
not.
meat puppets, but yeah.
Mhm. No, no, I'm gonna stay. I don't know. I don't care. If I felt like some of it was accurate, it might have been in the moment. I don't think that necessarily Ashley's impersonating Kate Bush because she sounds completely different than what Kate Bush goes for.
She's not doing anything near as like experimental.
Maybe like more like Alanis Morissette,
Yeah,
potentially
that
like some just like general indie girl, like
right. It's
wi-
giving like grunge girl with guitar, but it's not giving like Kate Bush.
like yeah.
And it's not quite giving grunge girl with guitar. That's not right either.
I would, cause like she's just, like black, like red cloth over a lampshade with a guitar.
Yes. Yes.
Um, like Claire Fisher, if Claire Fisher started a band.
Are you comparing Ashley Kerwin to Claire Fisher?
In
Is
the
Ashley
aesthetic,
Kerwin the Claire Fisher of the
actually,
Degrassi universe?
she might be.
It doesn't not fit.
It doesn't
I
not
don't know,
fit.
like, I know I said I might love Ashley, but I don't know that I think she's that cool.
Right, like slow down.
Like, that's a badge of honor.
It is.
But, like, also part of Claire being as cool as she is Claire stumbling through trying to be cool.
Claire truly does try, and like there are points when she is just so annoying.
So annoying.
But she plays it off so well.
Okay, so Ashley Kerwin might be Claire Fisher, and I'm willing to accept that as a possibility. I'm not willing to like 100% like all in on that. I have to think on that
Willing
more
to
than,
take that into consideration.
but it is an interesting perspective.
Caroline says thoughtfully as she takes a puff of her joint. Yes, I'm glad I could submit that conjecture. I just I don't know. I like the B plot for its setup because I'm excited for the next 2 episodes.
And I don't yeah, no, at least in this episode, I haven't watched Going Down the Road since in at least a couple of years, right?
Same. That's not one I usually rewatch.
And so I like Kevin Smith in this episode. Like, it's a good representation of Kevin Smith. It feels authentic, or as authentic as it can be in a universe that doesn't actually exist. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he fits right in. He does. Even though he's like, it's like you don't often get this tone of like, oh, a visiting person that exists in real life. Like, it's very natural the way they approach it. And I think they do a
Right.
pretty good job of like weaving him into the background and stuff. And he's just able to be there for a couple moments of this episode that are really good. But yeah, I mean, Craig and Ashley, they bring a recording of their CD for the music guy, and he fucking hates them, and he's like, "Boo! Throw tomatoes! Throw tomatoes! Get the fuck out of my office!" And he calls Kevin, and we don't see the result of that conversation. But Ashley, I think, was just kind of humoring Craig and going
No,
along
she
with
seemed
this.
excited. That is a big deal. But she wasn't